Number 2, reading aloud your daily text.
为人类的福祉。好客气老师的学生对于利用动物来做科学试验有一场辩论。念商科及医疗的学生对于赞成测试提出了一些很好的论点。哲学的学生必须做出回应，但这将会有些难度。
Hi everybody and welcome back to the second part of our class. We're going to be reading our story aloud now. Don't forget when you're reading, don't read quietly, read it aloud. Now this is an advanced level class and it might be a little difficult for some of you, but listen along, try to understand, and then try to read out, if not the whole story, part of the story. Now here we go. For the benefit of mankind. Teacher Hao is hosting a debate in his class between medical, business, and philosophy students. The topic for today's debate is whether animal testing is necessary for the betterment of mankind. The business students start. Corporate social responsibility, they say, is our first and foremost concern. We care about our customers, so we need to test our products thoroughly before we bring them to market. Anything else would be irresponsible. They emphasize this with an air of self-righteousness. They went on to state that the life and safety of the general public was far more important than the well-being of a few rabbits and mice. Teacher Hao thought they could also mention the well-being of the corporate bottom line is probably more important to them than a few rabbits and mice too. Next, the medical students spoke. Science and the scientific method, they say, that is what brought humans to where we are today. They go on. Without experimentation, there would be no discovery. Without discovery, there would be no advancement. Without advancement, humans could not live a better, healthier life. Teacher Hao thinks, yes, maybe a healthier body, but what about the mind? The medical students do not stop. Medical students need to practice their techniques. Would you want them to practice and make mistakes on humans? Then they drive the point home. When your mother gets sick and needs medicine, do you want a modern, safe, and tested one? Or something that might just kill her? When your father needs heart surgery, will you want to know your doctor has the best knowledge and techniques that start with animal testing? Then they finish with, it is easy to be high and lofty with morals when you are healthy, but they soon get discarded when you or your loved ones get sick. Teacher Hao scratches his head. That was some argument. Tough to top for sure. Now it's time for the philosophy students to counter. Do they have any hope? Is there any way for the philosophy students to argue against the business and medical students? It's time to join in the discussion and decide the fate of our animal kingdom brothers and sisters. How would you argue the fate of animals? off to the laboratory are safe from humans. Your call. That's it for our article. Very interesting article. Teacher Hao always gets into such interesting situations and predicaments. Now, what has he done this time? He has a debate in his class. There's three groups: the medical students, the business students, and the philosophy students. The medical and business students are arguing. They're saying that we should use animal testing. Now, what do they say? The business students say, well, it's because we have to be responsible to our customers. We cannot bring things into the open market unless they have been tested for safety. And so they say, well, what does it matter about a couple of rabbits or mice? Let's test them so that the human beings buying the products will be safe. But then Teacher Hao thinks, yeah, it's not just about humans they're worried about. Business students probably also want to make more money. They're worried about the corporate bottom line. But then the medical students come. The medical students also say we should have animal testing. They need experimentation. And that's how our human life gets better and healthier and happier. And but Teacher Hao thought, well, wait a minute. He says, yeah, maybe you'll get a healthy body, but what about your mind? Are you going to have a clear conscience? Are you going to not feel guilty about the animals you kill? But the medical students go on. And they say, well, would you want to give your mother some medicine that has not been tested? Or would you want your father to have heart surgery? If you knew that the medical students did not have any practice or knowledge by doing animal testing. And they say, well, it's nice, it's good to protect the animals when you're healthy, but everyone, when they're sick, wants the best medicine and the best doctors, and that comes through through animal testing. So now Teacher Hao doesn't know what to think. That's a very interesting argument. But then the philosophy students have to talk. Do they have any hope of winning the argument? Well, now the philosophy students are actually maybe you. What would you say to counter the business and the medical students? And that is what happens in our articles. What happens? Will the philosophy students win? Well, what an interesting story. But read this article aloud. 不要忘记你要念出来。不可以很安静的念，你要用很大声也要念出来，就可以一石二鸟，就可以练习你的阅读技巧，还有你的绘画，还有发音的那个技巧啊。Now that's it for our reading. Let's go on to the next part of our class.